A very good morning and welcome to Kusile Breakfast Show. Sibonga kakhulu ukuthi nivuke nathi namhla ekuseni kungilesine. It is the 30th of December 2021. We are only 2 days away from 2022. Sidabe sijuba wona umnyaka ngalesihlanu entsambama sasingena kumnyaka lomusha ngemgcibelo umnyaka wa 2022. Sibonga kakhulu nje ukuthi umdalo sigcine kwade kwafika lilanga lanamuhla siyanemukela lomhla ehlelweni. Asisibukena ngombiko losuka khona etiko letempilo. Langeni layitolo kuhlole abantu labangu 1129 kwatfolakala ukuthi labangu 600 banemkhuhlane yeCovid sishiwe abantu labayi4 itolo emhlabeni kanti labasesibhedlela labelashwa ko bangu 113 bese kuthi lasebaluleme bangu 1034 lewuti nombolo letinsha solo wabhethuka lomkhuhlane lasebawutholile bangu 65473 kanti lasebashiye emhlabeni bangu 1296 lasebagomenga lokuphelele bangu 296,108 lesakwakha 25.3% the total population. Live laseKenya selikhokhe i-directive yokuthi tindzawo leti ngema public spaces bamfu labangakagomeli umkhuhlane COVID-19 kumele bangavumeleki ukuthi bangene. Kanti ke leti tindzawo tifaka ekhatsi ema-restaurants etimotweni letilayisha sive naletinye tindzawo kunekhathateka ke ukuthi ingabe uhulumende lesinqumo lesilasithetha utasenda kanjani ikakhulukazi njengoba kubonakala kwangathi kune resistance levela kwesiveni saseKenya ngalesinqumo lesithethwe nguhulumende kanti ke uhulumende uthethe lesinqumo ukubuka kwekwanza kwemibiko lebikwako yebantu labawufola lomkhuhlane ikakhulukazi lumkhuhlane lomusha uhlobo lolusha lwe-Omicron variant akusilona ke live Kenya lelibhekene nama cases lanyuka njalo njoba emavenje lamanengi eEurope nawo abona kunyuka kwawo ama cases amavela afaya ekhathi eMelika eRussia kanye neGermany lawo mave nawo sawaqinisile imigomo yokulwa nekwanza kwawo umkhuhlane COVID-19 njoba imibiko iyatfusa njalo ngelilanga kanti ke leti buya evenda seSudan kubikwa ukuthi kutsilike imayini gold mine kulela live kwashona abantu labangu 31 kungmanje kusalahleke abantu labasola bangatfolakali labasiphohlongo kanti ke imibiko yaveda ukuthi kusenze munye kuleyo ngoti asibahlele emarket embukeli nasibuya sida ubuya netindzaba futhi kucala kanti samhlehlelweni sida bese nidlalela yona latest updates lesuka khona enhlanganweni yakamhlaba yetempilo WHO ngawo umkhuhlane COVID-19 nekuthi ngabe seshiye bangakhi abantu emhlabeni ama cases eme kanjani emhlabeni wonke sidabe sinaye lapha dokotela Tedros lokungcondzisi jikelele wayo lenhlangano asibahlele emarket sidabuya sichubeke.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
I do the most.
Watch local TV on the go with the Eswatini TV app for only 20 emalangeni. Come on. Do the most with Eswatini TV app. Download from Google Play Store or App Store.
We're good together. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Asiphenze sinimukele ehlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show lesikhathi sida ubuka tindzaba tetfu. La cobetelako achubekile nekuhlakula emasimu ebukhosi. Libutfo selichubekile ensimini ebukhosi ePhondo.
Ngelilanga lesithathu lekuhlakulwa emasimi ebukhosi lagcebetela kusolo avukela ngemgcumo losetulu. Lokhu kulandzela ukuthi kuhlakulwe emasimi ebukhosi kucale ngemsumbuluko uma kusukuma leli viki. Lomuhla libutho lichubekele ensimini yebukhosi ePhondo. Imigomo ke yekuvikela umkhuhlane we-COVID-19 selo iyalandzelwa kusachubeka wona umkhosi njengoba kuphila nokuphepha kwamaswati kusenhlitweni yemakhosi. Ekubeni acethe ukuhlakula lagcobetelako abese aya esigodlweni elitsitsini kuyawuchitha injobo.
Jubangana boy, mba, jubangana, mba, mtsagat, ushonap, mtsagat, ushisarif, mtsagat, ushonep, mba bisenganyet, ba phanyat, mtsagat, ushonap, ushonep, juba, mtsagat, mtsagat, upi, mbampe, mtsagat, ushisarif, ushonep, juba nganyet, juba nyat, ujan mkashela, itimna shu. Shu yamajaha liveli hluphekile kunemthakathi longena emeneni ngibambiseni mbutho yemajaha liveli hluphekile kunemthakathi longena emeneni juba nyathi ngithi njani mba ngithi njani umthakathi ushonaphi umthakathi uphinga kuwe juba nganyethu unjani nyathi ushonaphi umthakathi ushonaphi
majaha kangakajovi ngalanga testi awateste wathi bambelele impilo yakho lempilo majaha ke ngoba ke singamajaha silibutho siyahlonipha hlonipho ke hamba ne-order sihlala se-ordeni sidawubathi kusasa ingozi sikhipha isibheki sakuphi ngiloko majaha
Bogogo nabomkhulu benkundla yasemaphalaleni basungule umsebenzi wesigayo ekusho kwendvuna 8070 Mabulala Maseko lo msebenzi ubite imali licishe besigidzi semalangeni Maseko uthi isikhwama sekuthuthukisa tinkhundla i-Regional Development Fund sidlala inzima lenkulu ukuthuthukisa inkhundla yasemaphalaleni
Umsebenzi wesigayo senhlangano yabogogo iGolden Star labalishumi nesiphohlongo bendzawo yasemaphalaleni sewusizingeni elisetulu ngekusho kwasihlalo walenhlangano Zandile Maziya lo msebenzi bawucala ngekuthi bathengise manyolo baphindze bahlakulele bantfu yemasimu baseke sebaba naleliphupho lekwakha lesigayo
yafika ke inkhundlane nebekunene yasiqata lenkhundla yasiqatulula yakhipha lokubolile yafaka lokukahle lokuvuthiwe yasithatha inkundla yaqhubeka nathi lapho yaze yayofika nathi etiko lelikhulu lasehhovisi eMbabane bathuthukisi nabo beta basiqata nene bokunene saze savuthwa size sibe njena nje singenxa yayo inkundla yasemaphalaleni leyasisita kangaka.
Buyisile Xaba longumthuthukisi welitiko letinkundla uthi labogogo bende umsebenzi lomkhulu kakhulu lefanele ukuthi ube sibuko nakubantu labasha.
Sikhwama setinkundla basemaphalaleni basilandzele umgomo waso. Sikhwama setinkundla sekunciphisa sicedze buphuya emaswatini. Siyabona ke lokuthi emaswati buyancipha buyaphela buphuya ngoma itolo sitile sitangetigulumba letimbili emaphalaleni.
Indvuna yesigodi saselibhujini Shishibala Maseko sithi lo msebenzi utithelo tahulumende welive.
Sibonga kakhulu uhulumende lomkhulu kulomsebenzi omhlena kangaka. Sibonga kakhulu ngathi uNkulunkulu angabusisa.
Lilunga lephalamende lenkundla yasemaphalaleni Mabulala Maseko lithi lenkundla inemisebenzi leminingi lesekelwe sikhwama sekuthuthukisa tinkundla.
Mafutha ke uhulumende wetinkundla lawo. Mafutha uhulumende lathi akusukuma ubona lamajaha khona kulendzawo. Kube ngawo lataqhuba lentuthuko. Kungasuku lenye lijale leyolandva leshiselweni kusuke selimele emaphalaleni. Kepha uthi labantu bakulendzawo abatimele bona. Sithi ke asibonge kubambisana ngobe besingeke sigijime sifike la singakabambiseki. Inkundla lengisebenta kuyo ngiyatigqabha ngayo.
Tinkundla tonke telive njalo ngeminyaka titfola imali nengangetigidzi letintsatfu emalangeni lekuyimali yekusekela imisebenzi yemaswati ngenhloso yekucedza buphuya. Tindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginaThemba Shabangu emaphalaleni.
Umfufukisi wetemphilo longasekho emhlabeni Voivo Nzinisa bekayinsika yetemphilo njengoba bekanelwati lolujulile ngato tonke tingoni tetemphilo asebendana ngekutikhandla. Waphinze wafaka neligalelo lelibandi elihlelweni lokugwema kutheleleka kweligciwane HIV kwemfana nakabelekwa. Lokho kuveta umcondzisi wetemphilo Dr. Vusi Makagula.
Lamacembu lesithi asengcupheni noma ase ebucayini bokuhanjiswa iCovid. Saqala ngethi 70 tetempilo kodwa abantu abadala kwaya ngekwehla nyalo sesicala ku 12 years.
Make Vivi Voivo Nzinisa Lukhele ushiye emhlabeni mhlati ngama-25 enyangeni leSetulu. Make Voivo uchazwe njengemuvu lebhekane nenhlonipho abathanza nebamvu asebenza ngetikhandla kuwo wonke umsebenzi laniketwe wona. Umcondzisi wetempilo Dr. Vusi Makagula umchaze njengemuvu bekayinsika elitiko letempilo njengoba bekanelwati lolujulile kuto tonke tinhlangothi tetempilo kusukela etindzabeni temkhuhlane COVID-19 kufika etindzabeni tetempilo kubantfu labasha, sexual reproductive health kanye netebantfwana.
Abe umuntu lo watiko impela umsebenzi wakhe nangikhuluma nje ne-team yakhe basho kona ukuthi awu bekayi encyclopedia yetindzaba tonke taba-health noma ngiphi wena mbuzulwane wena SRH wena dentali wena bani bekanguyena vele nje angumholi anama-leadership skills akhe lamahle when it came to that. Aphinze analokuba lesimo sakho sokuba phansi. Yebo kuyeda tonke into yakho yakwathi konke kodwa abuye phansi akhona ukukutshela ukuthi no kwethiwa kanje kwenziwa kanje kushiya nje igap le bakhona wena abanye basebenza nabo le batawuchuba basebenze kepha yena sabe solo simkhumbula sibalile kakhulu egameni lenduna egameni letiko egameni lahulumende bawanzinisa ukuthi awu akwehlanga lokungehle nabakithi.
Make Voivoi usebenza esibhedlela seGood Shepherd eStegi emvonjeni emtholampilo wayehlangothini lwaka-Public Health wase usebenza nasehlangothini lwetempilo lelibuketa indzaba te-HIV SNAP ngaphambi kwekuthi usebenza ehlangothini lokuthuthukisa tempilo. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza ngiseMbabane.
Tibonakala tinyuka tinombolo talabajovela umkhuhlane i-COVID-19 esifundeni saselubonjeni bese kusukumisa phansi labanengi kuthi bayojova kuva timphawu temkhuhlane i-COVID-19 lesobhebhetelwa i-Omicron variant.
Bantfu labaningi esifundeni saselubonjeni babonakala bawujovela umkhuhlane we-COVID-19 lese kubasusa phansi labaningi kuva timpawu talomkhuhlane kani labanye bebakatse bahuthula tinyawo etindzabeni tekujova. Boniface Mamba loboketa indzaba talomkhuhlane kulesifundza itiko letemphilo utsi tiyatfokotisa tinombolo talese bawujovela lomkhuhlane nalese basukumela etulu bangeva timpawu tawo.
Tinombolo tiyenyuka impela ikakhulu sibakhutsate even noma batestile ukuthi balethe netihlobo tabo ngisho base tingaveli tingacali kubonakala ngama-symptoms so siyabakhutsata ukuthi bete so mbele impela vele bayeda labanye nje ubone balethe imindeni yabo bagcwele imoto then bafike bateste nalabanye ama-17 bafike batitshele 70 tibuye titest.
Ngelusuku lwangalesibili ngakusho kwembiko wetemphilo babengu-312 labatfolakele nalomkhuhlane babasiphohlongo labasishiyile emhlabeni ngawo kanti kungumanje bangu-98 labasetibhedlela labalashwako ngawo kanti-ke labanawo eveni lonke jikelele kungumanje bangu-6,998 kanti-ke labasaphethwe ngiwo kungumanje ngulabo kanti lese bajove ngalokuphelele bangu-295,221 lese beluleme kuwo bangu-56,583 kanti-ke labasha labeluleme lebekatse ubaphethe bangu-738 etindzabeni ngingiyani msebiti ithombe nguThemba Shabangu elubonjeni.
Isekela lokhulumela hulumende Thabile Mdluli uthi labalungiselela imicimbi nebemasonto abaqinisekise ukuthi imicimbi yabo yokujuba umnyaka ayengci esikhatsini lesingama-hour lamathathu. Thabile bekacacisa kudideka lesekukhona ezweni ngekuthi imicimbi yokujuba umnyaka ivumelekile noma cha.
Mvunankulu Cleopas Dlamini embikweni wakhe wekuphela kweminyaka waveta kusi nanoma imigomo yekulwa nalomkhuhlane i-COVID-19 ucekusiwe kuletinye tinhlangothi imilinzelo nekufukama nekudla emingcwabeni solo kusevaliwe kona nanoma kunjalo sekunekungavisisike kahle isiveni ukuthi ingabe imicimbi yokujuba umnyaka ivumelekile yini noma cha nemasonto njengoba wona-ke acekuselwa ngema-hour lamathathu ukuthi angachubeka abambe tinkonzo akhonde ingabe angatibamba intinkonzo kuze kuse ngalo lusuku lokujuba umnyaka kanjalo-ke netindzawo tekutijabulisa tabo magida sibhekane nato tisengacacisele kahle ingane etinkundleni tekuchumana nasetitaladini solo kubhalwe ukuthi kutawube kujutshwa umnyaka etindzaweni ngekwehlukana kumnanzi kunjeya. Lisekela lesikhulumeli sahulumende Thabile Mdluli uyicacisile lendzaba.
Lokungumthetho wekunaka noma kuphila kwemaswati kulesikhathi sa-COVID-19. Lo mthetho ke uyacaca lokuthi imilenzelo solo ayikavumeleki kuleli lakangwane kufukama akukavumeleki ema-night clubs nalokunye nako akukavumeleki. Kodwa ke lokuphinze kuchazwe ngilomthetho ngilokuthi emabandla uma bengenta sibonelo anawo emahora lamathathu ukuthi angahlangana akhonte noma kusemkhathini weliviki noma kungempela sonto. Lokusho ke ukuthi uma nje sijuba lo mnyaka emabandla angahlangana kuloyo 3 hours lokumcoka kakhulu ngokuthi simasonto sinake lokuthi silandzela yonke imigomo ye-COVID-19 bantu bahleti ngendlela lefanele sivalile imilomo yethu ngema-mask savala nemakhala siyageza netandla noma sisanitize. Bese ke uma kubuya kuleti tekutijabulisa lama regulations nakhona lapho aclear lokuthi bangahlangana labekutijabulisa nedi nabahlangene enzaweni lengaphandle outdoor bangendluli enombolweni lengemakhulu lasihlanu 500. Ngetulu kwaloko futhi lama regulations ayasho lokuthi bangahlangani isikhathi lesendlula emahora lamabili nesigamu 2.5 hours. Lokusho ukuthi ke noma angaba khona lawo ma entertainment activities la ngaba khona as long as alandzela wonke lo mgomo wa COVID-19 bangachubeka bawende. Kodwa lokungeke kwenteke ukuthi bantu bahlangane ebusuku bonke.
Thabile uthi siveka siyiqikelele impilo yaso sitivikele njalo kulomkhuhlane sisajabula. Mina ke ngingiyani Msibi ngibika ngisempabane.
Tangoma telitulu tithi timvula tutawuchubekane kuna eveni belitiko letekulima bona bacela abalimi ukuthi njengoba timvula titinengi abalalele belitiko letekulima nebalimisi ukuthi yini labangayilima kulesikhathi kuye ngekushiyana kwetindzawo.
Lidolobha lakaHlatsi ngilona likhongetele kakhulu kuleti imvula letiqhubekako nekuna eveni nga 71.6 mm kulandzele lidolobha laseDrobodweni nga 63.4 mm kute lidolobha laseMbabane nga 58.8 mm kanti amadolobha lakhongetele kancane wona afaka ekhatsi lomahasha nga 18.8 mm na Tikhuba nga 28.6 mm kanti sangoma selitulu sifiso nzalo siyachaza ukuthi timvula titawuma njani kuleli viki.
Lesingakusho sigaba ikhona isabalele siyaqhubeka sibheke ukuthi sichubeke imvula isabalale sicedele lenhlobo lethu kukhanya siphila ngamatshe.
Njengoba tibonakala tiningi timvula nje ingabe lokhu kusho kuthini kutekulima. Ake sive umqondisi wetekulima Nelson Mavuso achaza ukuthi leti imvula tishone kubalimi.
Singakhuthata ke kubalimi ukuthi labo labasengalimi ngabe sebatsebenzisele leti imvula ngoba start sitawuthatha sikhale singakanani. Lokusasele sesingabeka nje yona lenyanga ya January ukuthi labo labangahlanyela umbila etindzaweni letingasheshi tifikele kubanzi sebangabalekela etinhlanyelweni letiphuphuma kakhulu njenge logwaja etinhlanyelweni lethatha bo 90 to 120 days muleto letsengalunga nyalo letinye talapho setingabe setiyakhinyebedeka ngoba setawukhani babusika. Kodwa ke sesonzele esikhatsini lapho sithi balima bahlanyele bobhatata bahlanyele emabhonjisi ikakhulu kwemidumba January February ngiso sikhathi sekuhlanyela lokho. Kodwa balimi bacwaye ba-avoid kuhlanyela lapho kuma khona emanti nguloko lesingakukhuthaza abalimi.
Mavuso ucela abalimi ukuthi baxhumane nelitiko njalo nakukhona lapho bafuna kucaciseleka khona ngalokuphethelene netekulima. Beluhlangosi lwemandla kuhlangosi laka Water Affairs sibabuta kusamadamu elive emenjani Makhosini Khoza waloko loluhlangothi uthi emadamu elive engathi yagcwele njengoba timvula tiyawenda umehluko lobonakalako. Lidamu laseMjoli lona ke ligcwele liyachitheka nga 105.2%. Lidamu laseHawane nanalo ligcwele liyachitheka liku 100%. Luphohlo lume ku 96.08%. Kanti ke lamanye amadamu tona ke tisebenti tisabusa imininingwane ukuthi ngabe kona ke emenjani. Khoza ke wengce wacela sive waxwayisa ukuthi sidlalele bucala unawo ke emadamu lagcwele singayi ngenjwayelo njengoba kunetilwane etingoti etifayekhazi timvubu netingwenya njengoba abantu babonakala bawasha timoto thute nalawo madamu kanzi ke naleto tilwane tingatfolakala kulawo madamu. Wacela nalabadobako ukuthi nangabe madamu agcwele badlalele kudze ngoba nanabo bangatibeka ingotini nalabo ke labangawela ngenjwayelo wasinanabo abangendi njalo njengoba naline kakhulu lamanye madamu bese agubheka tigotsi umuntu ke kangathi uyewela akhanze sekacwilile. Etindzabeni ngingiyani Msibi eMbabane.
Kutemidlalo licembu leMwenini Pirates liphumelele ngemagoli lamabili kulinye nalidlala neGreen Mamba kanti iSeabirds yona ishaye tinyosi ngemagoli lamathathu kulinye. Imibili lemidlalo bedlalelwa enkundleni yasemavuso Sports Center kaManzini.
Iqembu leManzini Seabirds litholana lituna iqembu letinyosi umdlalo no-M10 Premier League. iSeabirds kulomdlalo igadle kuqala ngeligoli elishayo ngisandumuzo Zwane kwayiwa ekhefini ihamba embili iSeabirds ngeligoli linye ecanzeni. Esigabeni sesibili iphinze yagadla lesibili nelesithathu lelishayo uNwandile Nhleku kanye naBhekumuzi Mamba. Kanzi umthoba Nhlitiwe wetinyosi litholwe ngu-Innocent Zinisa waphela kanjalo incobile iSeabirds ngamagoli amathathu kulinye. Emidlalweni wesibili lolandzela enkundleni yasemavuso iMonini Pirates beyitholana etulu neGreen Mamba lapho khona incobile iMonini Pirates ngamagoli amabili kulinye. Umqeqeshi weGreen Mamba Dumisani Makhanya uthi lo mdlalo bekungakamele bakhale phasi njengoba badlale kahle.
We created a lot of chances. We don't deserve to lose this game. Ngiko bathi ebholeni football can kill you. Nakunje. Because we did everything. We created, we were playing a very nice game, creating chances, but we can't score.
Umqeqeshi omonene Gcina Dlamini uthi emidlalweni lendlulile bebasolo banelishwa lekungaphumeleli kodwa ke babe badlala kahle.
Games esihlale sidlala kamnanzi umehluko ukuthi nje namhla sikhona ukuscora 2 goals, but otherwise I'm happy about the progress the team is making, and I'm looking forward ukuthi they will do better than last season in the season.
Kuleminye imidlalo ledlaliwe ngalesithathu iThabankulu Kelisi ikhole yatehlela kuMbabane Swallows ngamagoli amane kulamabili. Young Buffaloes ishaya iDenver Sundowns ngamagoli amane kulinye. Lobekela umsakazo Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini nasemavuso Sport Center kaManzini.
Ngaleto temidlalo siyatiphetsa tindzaba tetfu asibahlole timakethe sitabe sichubeke nehlelo.
Nziki skim sami, mayingiyabonga kungadisa ngemfo lebeyingaze ibe yimfihlo kulomunye umuntu. Ungadise ngesimo sakho sekuphila ne-HIV. Mngani wami, yati ukuthi ngimi nawe. Waya.
Mngani wami, ukwende kwaba melula kakhulu ukubhokokela. Ngiyati ukuthi soze wangihlamula. Bunguwe bakho uyangikhulula kakhulu emoyeni wami. Ngiyabonga girl. Ungikhulula kakhulu kwathi ukuthi wena uyahlala unami njalo.
Girl, sisonke always. Kuphila ne-HIV angeke kulushintshe nakancane mthambo lwami nawe. Mngani wami, yati ukuthi ngimi nawe sonke isikhathi.
Kuva kabandi shayela 1212.
Ungelithando, ungekwatana, ungekuhlalisana, ungebungani. Luthando lukhona. Ungaphuthelwa lapho tithandzane tihlangana ticoca ngokuthi kodwa tahlangana njani, impilo iquba njani emshadweni, kodwa vele luthando lukhona yini. Kungako sithi love exists.
Emandleni umfata miyashaya alibona.
Wangihlola ke. Ngathi wangicabuza asumananga.
Ngaqala ngakushikilisa babe. I forgot to mention that one. I really didn't want this guy.
Love exists. Luthando lukhona.
It's the holiday of festive season and there's presents everywhere, gifts all over the place. The beatdown's present to you is our music.
As we celebrate the season of family, friendship and love, the Eswatini TV Board of Directors, Management and Staff hereby wish all our esteemed viewers, partners and nation at large an exciting, peaceful and safe festive season. Let joy be your gift at Christmas, and may faith, hope and love be your treasures in the new year. We at Eswatini TV wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2022.
Asipenze sinemukele babukeli solo nibukela hlelo Kusile Breakfast Show lesikhathi sidandlalela iclip ya Dr. Tedros longumcondzisi jikelele enhlanganweni yakamhlaba yetempilo WHO kusiniketa nje the latest update on coronavirus noma ke COVID-19 ikakhulukati luhlobo lolusha lomkhuhlane iOmicron variant kanye nama cases lengetekako emhlabeni wonke.
Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. 2 years ago, as people gathered for New Year's Eve celebrations, a new global threat emerged. WHO's health emergency system immediately swung into action, establishing an incident management support team to run the emergency response and requesting more information about the reports of a cluster of cases of pneumonia of unknown origin in Wuhan, China. Although we had little information, we had enough experience and expertise to know that this looked serious. Early on, we worked out that beating this new health threat, a new coronavirus potentially capable of spreading quickly around the globe, would require three things: science to both understand the pathogen and find solutions to beating it, and solidarity to share and deliver those tools wisely and equitably. Science, solutions, solidarity. And there were major successes. This includes the rapid development of a comprehensive package of technical guidance on how to ready countries to detect, treat, communicate, and prevent the spread within 2 weeks of the first report of the cluster of pneumonia of unknown cause. The sharing of the genome, which triggered the development of diagnostics within the first 3 weeks of 2020, a multi-organizational supply chain system was quickly set up, which included solidarity flights that collectively delivered personal protective equipment for health workers and medical and oxygen supplies for patients. WHO quickly convened scientists and researchers in January 2020 and regularly, therefore, to develop a research roadmap for COVID-19 that accelerated the science around the virus and the creation of new health tools. This included global solidarity trials on new vaccines and treatments to speed up research and development processes. And WHO and partners created the COVID-19 Tools Act Accelerator in April 2020 to accelerate access to tests, treatments, and vaccines. We deployed emergency response teams to support governments in their times of greatest need. Working with clinicians and practitioners around the world, WHO developed a comprehensive living guidance for the clinical management of COVID-19. A common corticosteroid was found to be effective in cutting the risk of death in those with severe disease in September 2020. The development of new vaccines proved so effective at cutting serious disease and death, they represent a scientific masterclass. The increased level of coordination between WHO and member states is exemplified by more than 3,500 national regulatory authorizations in 144 member states following the approval of vaccines through the WHO Emergency Use Listing, EUL. However, while science delivered, politics too often triumphed over solidarity. While there were 1.8 million recorded deaths in 2020, there were 3.5 million in 2021, and we know the actual number is much higher. This is not to mention to the millions of people dealing with the long-term consequences from the virus. Populism, narrow nationalism, and hoarding of health tools, including masks, therapeutics, diagnostics, and vaccines, by a small number of countries undermined equity and created the ideal conditions for the emergence of new variants. Misinformation and disinformation, often spread by a small number of people, have been a constant distraction, undermining science and trust in life-saving health tools. In the huge waves of cases currently seen in Europe and in many countries around the world, misinformation, which has driven vaccine hesitancy, is now translating to the unvaccinated disproportionately dying. It's vitally important that the established scientific advisory group for the origins of novel pathogens can develop a pathway for the scientific research, search of pathogens, including for the origins of SARS-CoV-2, and we hope to see progress quickly in the new year. But I still remain optimistic that this can be the year we can not only end the acute stage of the pandemic, but we also chart a path to stronger health security. Building on the successes and failures, we must not only share vaccines faster and more equitably with COVAX and AVAT, we must support countries in manufacturing and rolling them out to everyone. And access to new treatments must also follow. This virus will continue to evolve and threaten our health system if we don't improve the collective response. Right now, Delta and Omicron are twin threats that are driving up cases to record numbers, which again is leading to spikes in hospitalizations and deaths. I'm highly concerned that Omicron, being more transmissible, circulating at the same time as Delta, is leading to a tsunami of cases. This is and will continue to put immense pressure on exhausted health workers and health systems on the brink of collapse, and again distributing lives and livelihoods. The pressure on health systems is not only because of new COVID-19 patients requiring hospitalization, but also a large number of health workers are getting sick themselves. The unvaccinated are many times more at risk of dying from either variant. Omicron is moving so quickly. In addition to vaccination, public health social measures are also needed to stem the wave of infection, protect health workers and systems, open up societies, and keep children in school. I welcome innovative solutions to reaching vulnerable communities that have not received vaccination yet, because the primary doses are the most important for people to develop immunity. Bottom-up micro-planning with strong community engagement and mobile vaccination teams, which have been highly effective in ridding most of the world of polio, are another way to get vaccines to the hard-to-reach. WHO will support countries as they look to improve access to COVID-19 tools and catch up with routine immunization. Mental health must also be treated as a core element of our response to and recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. At the G7 and G20 this year, I challenged leaders to ensure that by the end of this year, countries have vaccinated 40% of their populations and 70% by the middle of 2022. 92 member states out of 194 missed the 40% target. This is due to a combination of limited supply going to low-income countries for most of the year, and then subsequent vaccines arriving close to expiry and without key parts like the syringes. And in the case of about 20 countries, supply chain and distribution issues are also impacting rollouts. 40% was doable. It's not only a moral shame, it costs lives and provided the virus with opportunities to circulate unchecked and mutate. In the year ahead, I call for leaders of government and industry to walk the talk on vaccine equity, both by ensuring consistent supply and helping to get vaccinations actually into people. Vaccine supply, for now at least, is improving, although the emphasis on boosters in rich countries could cause low-income countries to go short again. I call on leaders of rich countries and manufacturers to learn the lessons of Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and now Omicron, and work together to reach the 70% vaccination coverage. This is the time to rise above short-term nationalism and protect populations and economies against future variants by ending global vaccine inequity. I want governments, industry, and civil society to work with us on a campaign that targets 70% vaccine coverage in every country by the start of July. I also want to ensure COVID-19 care pathways with new treatments are available in every single country, and to ensure people get on treatment at the optimum time, we need to get tests everywhere. Ending health inequity remains the key to ending the pandemic. As this pandemic drags on, it's possible that new variants could evade our countermeasures and become fully resistant to current vaccines or past infection necessitating vaccine adaptations. The technical advisory groups for virus evolution and on COVID-19 vaccine composition continue to review evidence of the variants and analyze the performance of COVID-19 vaccines against them. Any new vaccine update would potentially mean a new supply shortage. So it's important that we focus on building up local manufacturing supply to help end this pandemic and prepare for future ones. One way to increase production of life-saving tools is to pool technology. WHO's mRNA technology transfer hubs are moving ahead in developing an mRNA vaccine. Recently, the COVID-19 Technology Access Pool and the Medicines Patent Pool finalized their first licensing agreement with the Spanish National Research Council for a serological antibody test. I hope there are many more breakthroughs like this in 2022, including for vaccines and treatments. Sharing technology and know-how, as well as waiving the intellectual property rights around COVID-19 tools, should have happened early on in the pandemic. But it's never too late to come together to do the right thing. In 2022, WHO will work with our member states to build well-financed health systems, strengthen preparedness, and ensure the equitable distribution of health tools. From the new WHO BioHub system, which offers a reliable, safe, and transparent mechanism for WHO's 194 member states to voluntarily share novel biological materials, to the new WHO Hub for Pandemic and Epidemic Intelligence based in Berlin, WHO will build mechanisms to enhance partnership. In this vein, the development of a new binding accord between nations on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response will be a key pillar. I hope to see negotiations move swiftly and leaders to act with ambition. This is the moment for leaders to banish the politics of populism and self-interest, which are derailing the COVID-19 response and threaten to undermine the response to the inevitable next disease X. While 2021 has been hard, I ask everyone to make a New Year's resolution to get behind the campaign to vaccinate 70% by the middle of 2022. We have 185 days to the finish line of achieving 70% by the start of July 2022. And the clock starts now. If we drive this campaign together, we will all be in a much better place by this time next year. Happy New Year.
Dr. Ryan and Dr. Tedros, you both talked about ending the acute phase of the pandemic. So is that contingent on the 70% vaccine? Do you think the acute phase of the pandemic won't end until 70% of the population are vaccinated? Is that what you see? And how likely do you think it is that we will move away from this acute phase of the pandemic this year and move into the next stage? Thank you.
Certainly, yes, we would all like to see the acute phase of the pandemic come to an end. And that is the history of pandemics in humans. Pandemic viruses like flu viruses, the pandemic ends, but the virus stays around. In fact, the virus that caused the pandemic in 2009 of H1N1 is still around, but it's not causing the kind of death and destruction that it did at the time mainly because we've been vaccinating the most vulnerable people. And if you look at the strategies we use in influenza, we don't try to vaccinate everybody against influenza, although it could be a very good idea. But what we focus on with the limited amount of vaccine available is to focus on vaccinating health workers, vaccinating older persons, vulnerable younger people. We vaccinate against the negative impacts of getting the infection, which are severe disease, hospitalization, and death. In that sense, heading to try and vaccinate everybody in the population who could potentially have a severe infection is the primary objective. And that was the objective set with the original idea of having 20% and 40% of the population covered. As Dr. Tedros has said, 92 countries, I think Dr. Tedros missed that deadline. And there's very, very much still in a very vulnerable situation with large numbers of people within their countries still vulnerable to severe infection. But not only that, even in high coverage countries, even in countries in the industrialized north that have overall high vaccine coverage, within those numbers lie very, very strong differences in vaccine coverage, depending on your socioeconomic class, depending on your ethnicity, depending on which part of the country you live in, urban versus rural. So there are real differences in vaccine coverage in people within countries as well. So this isn't just about equity between countries, it's equity within countries needs to be addressed as well. The 70% number is really about trying to get to the point where you have effectively your full adult population vaccinated and all your vulnerable individuals vaccinated. That's the situation we would really want to be in. If we're going to both impact the severity of the disease or the impact of the health system, but also have a significant impact on transmission, then the higher the vaccination levels, the more we will have impact on that. There is a challenge. The vaccines don't perfectly prevent transmission, but they do prevent transmission at some level. And you will have to have very high vaccine coverage in order to have an impact on transmission. But if you can get to those higher vaccine coverage levels, you will have an impact on transmission, especially with natural infection as well. So I think there is a strong prospect of getting there. We have to get there. It's not just an issue of equity. It's a real question of getting out of the place we're in. And getting out of where we are requires us to get much higher levels of vaccination. You can call it 70% or 65 or 75, that's a number. But getting to a point where the population at risk of having any form of severe infection or long COVID, getting that out of the equation is the primary objective here, and ensuring that we can also suppress the emergence of new variants through reductions in transmission.
On the 70%, we hope that it could end it could help in ending the acute phase of the pandemic. However, the key element here is we have to cover the most vulnerable parts of the population. These are the elderly and people with comorbidity, and also health workers. As you know, many countries who have already high coverage, 70%, more than 60% of coverage, are seeing a substantial number of hospitalization and deaths. And this is happening in the unvaccinated population. And that's why also in my speech, I said we need to have a campaign like the polio campaign, which is house to house, identifying the at-risk group and vaccinating those. You know, the average 60-70% wouldn't mean anything if the most vulnerable is not vaccinated. So when we say 70% in each and every country, if all the at-risk groups, the older, the senior citizens, people with comorbidity, and health workers and others are included in that 70%, then we can see minimized hospitalization and deaths to the minimum, and that could lead us into the end of the acute phase of the pandemic. So as we even speak, those countries who have high vaccination coverage, I think they should, in order to reduce hospitalization and deaths, they have to focus at the risk group who are not vaccinated. And that's why the last 2 weeks, we said repeatedly, the most important the focus should be on vaccinating the unvaccinated or protect the unprotected. That would have a better impact and also help us in making progress towards ending the acute phase of the pandemic. Maybe one thing with Brazil, by the way, with vaccination, I think as far as I know, if I remember, the coverage is already more than 65% fully vaccinated. And the overall situation also looks really much better in Brazil. And to what Mike said, what I would add is, continue with vaccination, especially those vulnerable should not be left behind. But at the same time, it's implementing the comprehensive measures, the public health comprehensive measures. So not vaccination alone, do it all. And I think the situation will continue to be better in Brazil too. Thank you.
I wonder, a question either for Sumia, if she's on the line, or perhaps Mike, regarding the change in the Centers for Disease Control in the U.S., their advice regarding the shortening of the recommendation for isolation time from 10 to 5 days for asymptomatic cases. So wondering if you have concerns on that and what your data might be telling you about how long people with Omicron shed virus or potentially transmit it. Do you have concerns about that new shortened time frame, please, which other countries have started to pick up on too? Thank you.
I just wanted to bring back again why we are doing quarantine, and the main objective has been to always to break the cycle of transmissions. So different countries and different parts of the world are in a different situation. Some parts of the world are seeing a low incidence and able to even push the quarantine from the WHO recommended 14 days to 21. Other countries are finding the balance. So at WHO, what we have been recommending is 14 days, and some countries can shorten that based on the testing that. So there are a lot of studies coming up, but what we have seen more and more countries applying a practical health aspect of what needs to be done, balancing the workforce required and the society and the overall objective, what they need to achieve from containing the virus or making this balance. So I think the US CDC may have more information, but what we have gathered right now is too early to determine in terms of the incubation and the infectious period, but more related to balancing the society, whether you go in the full lockdown or the lesser of the two evil. Coming back again in terms of what we recommend to each one, we have been recommending again, comprehensive risk-based approach and protecting the vulnerable. While the overall part of the health workforce can be relaxed, we need to take care of the long-term care facility, people who are immunocompromised, where one infection can be debilitating and life-risking. So I think that in summary is a risk-based approach, and different countries are in a different situation.
All right, that was the WHO team giving us the latest update on COVID-19, particularly the Omicron variant. Let's say umhlaba wonke. It's 4 minutes before 8 o'clock. Sasel Keflil Fishane Stabias Valeshelo.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Sisele imizuzu lemibili kuphela ukuthi kushaya insimbi yesiphohlongo namhla ekseni sibonga kakhulu ukuthi namhlanje ivuke nathi seselephetha lohlelo sesime ukuthi indaba nelusuku loluhle nalo lubusisekile sekusele nje amalanga lamabili kuphela ukuthi singene eminyakeni wa 2022 nisale kahle nibe nesuku loluhle.